guys, what's up? So today we've got the last episode of Bus Rides. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I wrote down notes because there's stuff that I wanted to make sure I said in this video. So, today's video is on Bus 36. Bus 36 is a 1997 Bluebird International 3800 with a T444E and an AT545. It's got green seats. It's a 72 passenger bus. Just standard Ohio specs for the 90s, honestly. It doesn't have a white roof. It says stop state law on the back. The numbers on the back of the bus don't have one of the rectangular reflective things that we have now. It wasn't a requirement back then to have those there, so you were able to just put the number on the bus without having to put their little reflective ID tag on it. So that's something. Other than that, there's not really anything special about the bus, spec-wise. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first time I rode 36, I wasn't aware. Like, I knew it was a bus, you know, I knew it was a Bluebird International. I knew, you know, it was 36. But, at the time, you know, I didn't know I was going to end up having it as a route bus. When I was riding it, it was a spare. So I rode it, I think it was probably sometime in 2014, as a spare when I was riding 50. And at the time, you know, I didn't really think much of it. So we used to get cards in the mail from the school that was telling us what bus we would be riding for the school year. Now they do it all digitally. But my junior year was the last year they sent out the cards to tell you what bus you're riding. And my mom had already seen the card, so I asked her about it, and she said, yeah, it says you're riding bus 36. And I was like, what? I'm riding bus 36? Because I knew what 36 was. I knew 36 was a 1997 Bluebird International, and I was a little confused. Because the big thing that confused me was the fact that 36 was a 72 passenger bus. 50 was a 71 passenger bus. 97, the bus that they just had to give us, was a 77 passenger bus. Because our elementary route was apparently getting larger, so we needed more capacity. So I really didn't understand why they took a 77 passenger bus off our route and then stuck us back with a 72 passenger bus. It really didn't make sense to me. I don't know. So for the start of the 2015-16 school year, I had started out in seat 5, and for those of you who don't know me, I prefer sitting in seat 1 or 2. I really don't like sitting anywhere else in the bus. And that's how I've always been. I've never really been a fan of sitting anywhere else. I know when I rode 181, I sat in the back for a while, and I'm not gonna lie, I got into some trouble, so I was like, yes, this is why you need to move me up front. I don't like being back there. But anyways, and on 50, I sat in the back for a little bit. But from 50 onward, once I had started sitting on seat 1 on 50, I sat in seat 1 on 97. I sat in seat 1 on pretty much any bus up until 36. So then on 36, I had to sit in seat 5 because seat 1 and 2 were filled because my driver at the time put kids that were, you know, trouble causers up front, which I understand, you know. But eventually, I think it was like around October, the person who had sat in seat 2 had left, so I was like, I'm just going to start sitting here. So it then became my seat, which helped because I would always help sub bus drivers with the route when they would have our bus, because I was the one that knew the route from start to finish, and my driver, you know, put on the sub notes to talk to me about getting instructions for the afternoon. Nothing really happened in the 15 part of the school year for the 15-16 school year, but the 16 part of the school year was actually kind of eventful. We had bomb threats and a shooter threat 1 week in May. I think it was like the first week of May. Well, anyways, we had 3 days in a row. We had, the high school had bomb threats, and then the second day was like a shooter/bomb threat. And then the third day was another bomb threat, and it was an experience, but that's not what we're talking about. Maybe I'll do story time on that if that's something you guys want to see. So 36's transmission had went out like the week before this happened. So we were in a sub bus. I don't think the whole week we had 14, but the last day, which was the worst day for the threats, they evacuated like 2 different schools, and they moved us all to a racetrack that we used to have. It used to have a big building, and that's where they took us all. But anyways, 14 was the bus we had that morning. So that's the bus we rode home. And after they let us out, you know, there's only like a few of us, so it was really short route. I'm gonna have to do a story time on the bomb threats, honestly, because I feel like if I start explaining it, I'm gonna go off on a tangent explaining the whole story. So I will do a story time on that, so you guys can kind of see what happened. It has buses involved, so you know. But moving on, because of the bomb threats, all of our buses got route changers, and this is what I'm talking about with the whole story time. Why did our buses get route changers because of bomb threats? Well, there was a whole miscommunication with which bus was what, and apparently in the haste, nobody put magnet numbers on the sides of the buses, so everybody was getting confused because they were looking at the number that the bus had and not actually getting on it, even though it was supposed to be their bus. Like, for example, I was supposed to go to bus 14, which I knew that 14 was running for my route, so I didn't have the problem. But to a normal kid who doesn't know, you know, hey, my bus has a spare today, or this, that, or the other, or doesn't know about school buses, and, you know, doesn't know, oh, this is just, it's my bus, but a different bus. You know, they wouldn't think 14 is their bus. They would be looking for 36. So, you know, you can see where the confusion arises. So that's why we got route changers. They also gave all the buses cameras. So you have a camera, you can't see where I'm pointing, but you'd have a camera at the top, right above the driver, and then halfway back down the bus. And, you know, that was what they outfitted all the buses with that year. Now, the other thing that also happened in the 16 part of the school year, like I mentioned, the transmission went out. So, for the last 2 weeks of school, we were given bus 45, so that would have been the week after the bomb threats, and then the week after that. So our route had bus 45 on it, which is one of our 94 Waynes. I'll put in a picture, maybe. 45, out of service. So you can see, there's back. Here's 45. 45 has Wayne on the bottom doorstep, as you can see. 45 also has a light monitor. Now, 2016, 2017, like I said, all the buses got route changers and cameras. Like I said, all the buses got route changers and cameras for the 16-17 school year. Nothing really happened during the 16 part of the school year. The one thing that I would always, well, not all the time, but sometimes, like, if we had, like, croissants or something to make in the oven at my house, I would make it after I got home from school for a snack for myself, and then when my bus driver would come back on her elementary run, I would run some out to her. So that was something I did sometimes. It was kind of memorable. Now, during the 2017 part of the school year, that's when we got our 5 2017s, the first batch. We got those in February of 2017. So I was really hoping they were going to give us one of the 2017s, because at the time I was kind of getting tired of 36. So, you know. And then obviously after I bought 66, it was outside of my house. So the way my neighborhood was set up, where 66 was parked, there would be 2 houses right off to your right, my left. So the houses would be like right next to us. And then you could see a straight cut through to this road that comes down the middle of the neighborhood. And through this cut through, you could see cars or whatever would come down. And a lot of the time, when she would come back on her elementary, I would honk at her and she would honk back at me, and it was just kind of a thing we did. But yeah, I would literally get off one bus and then go home and get on another, and I can't tell you the feeling of walking from my bus stop and then walking to my house and turning the corner and seeing this bus sitting outside the house. It was a really fun, like, 3 months while that bus was there. Maybe I'll have to do a story time about that. So my last day of school, I actually arranged to where I could ride 50, since it was the bus I started high school with and I wanted to end high school with it. So I didn't ride 36 on my last day. I rode 50. And then the last thing to say about 36 is, of its 6 original counterparts, So it would have been 11, 25, 35, 36, 41, 47. 47 has been sold. 11, 25, 35 are all out of service. Obviously, because 11 has been replaced by one of the C2s. But yeah, 36 and 41 are the only two ones are still active. I actually saw 36 the other day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to include some videos and maybe some photos of 36 right here. Look at all those. Alright, so there it is. 81086 is its registration number. 36. Stop state law. Watch it. So yeah, like I said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this series. If you haven't seen the other videos, and for some reason you're watching the very last episode, go check out the playlist. There's all of my route buses. I talk about them. I talk about stories. I show photos, videos. So please check them out. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this series. I'm working on some story times and some manual videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Bye.